Welcome into another episode of The Well. This is episode 27. I don't know why I can't ever remember the numbers. It's really a problem. But I'm Drew.
I really don't.
I'm Drew.
I'm Kat.
And welcome to the I Can't Remember the Episode Numbers episode. So episode 27 today. So Kat and I were talking the other night, since we talk every night. Shocking. We actually live together and talk to each other. We were talking about toys and kind of the change that has occurred from toys when we were kids to toys to what our kids played with. So, and we were reminiscing about the toys we used to love to play with.
Mm-hmm.
And one particular toy came up for the first topic of discussion, and we'll start here today. Cabbage Patch Kids. Cabbage Patch Kids was, my goodness, that had everyone in a chokehold. It was all the rage. There were lines, fights. I mean, when you got the inside scoop, oh yeah. So I'll tell a quick story about Cabbage Patch Kids. My sister wanted a Cabbage Patch Kid, and I'll never forget. I think my dad went to New York. He went somewhere. It was New York or somewhere else, like in the tri-state area, and got a Cabbage Patch Kid. And I'll never forget. It was like such a big deal because they were so hard to get. And it was I even remember what that thing looked like. I didn't like it. I wanted to like pull its head off, because that would have upset my sister, and that was all that was my sole purpose in life. But she had it was the bald baby, didn't have any hair. It was like, I don't think it was called the preemie. Didn't they have the preemies though? It wasn't a preemie, but it was bald, didn't have any hair. It was just like very babyish. I don't know.
Yeah,
I never understood the craze.
They made those.
And then, it came with the birth certificate. That was, well, hey, nothing wrong with playing with dolls. But the birth certificate was wild, right? Didn't you adopt them? Didn't you? You became the parent. So it was just, I guess on a adult level, you think of it, why are we promoting our young children to mother and father kids? It just, I get it. But if you think of it from that angle, it's kind of like, let's promote
for the most part,
young
people
pregnancy.
Don't think like that. At least, that's not what I thought about.
So tell me what you thought of. Did you have a Cabbage Patch Kid?
I did. I did have one.
Do you remember it?
Multiples. Yes.
You were fancy.
I had like 2 or 3, but by that point they had been out for a while. So, but it's funny. I actually didn't like them as well as I liked some of my other baby dolls. I was really into baby dolls and stuffed animals like crazy. I loved stuffed animals more so than I like dolls.
You were pretty young. Cabbage Patch Kids, I think they came out in 83.
Yeah, so I wasn't that old.
A bit young.
Yeah, but I liked other dolls more than those.
Yeah, I just remember the madness around that. But I think if there wasn't so much craziness around the Cabbage Patch dolls, I don't know if they would have been as revered as they are today, or as such a nostalgic memory, because literally people were beating the crap out of each other to get these silly things. It was
a lot of toys are like that though. Like My Buddy, My Sister.
Oh
right?
Yeah,
those are big.
My
Rainbow
buddy,
Brite,
Raggedy
Raggedy
my buddy
Ann and
and
Andy,
me like to climb up a tree.
Care Bears.
My buddy, Care Bears. Well, let's not jump the gun. I know, I was having fun. You just totally.
I'm sorry. Continue your song and dance.
No, I don't want it anymore. I don't want it. I'm done. I'm over My Buddy. I never liked My Buddy. I hated those commercials. They drove me nuts.
My Buddy.
That song was just embedded in that's another song that lives rent free in your head once it's stuck in there. And the commercial was annoying. Like you're not swinging. You're not climbing a tree with the doll. The doll isn't climbing the tree.
I would, as a child, I would take that doll everywhere.
I thought it was false advertising. Whatever. I'm entitled to my opinion. You can love My Buddy. You have at it. I'll buy you one. Kathryn's birthday's coming up, so everyone make sure you
There was one on
pop
Facebook
on by and
Marketplace
wish her a happy birthday.
Which is really weird. Yeah, which is weird because we've been talking about it. The phone is listening. But yes, I would collect them all.
So tell me about your I don't know how to phrase this without it sounding really creepy. Did you have, I'll try it this way. Did you have like emotional attachments to your dolls? Were there, certain dolls that you coveted more that were like for tea parties, and then you had other dolls that you would drag around the house because, they were, I don't know. Like, was there a nurturing quality that you always had certain dolls that you wanted to nurture, other dolls that you just wanted to play with?
I treated them all equally. I loved all my dolls and my stuffed animals equally, and I would set them up on the bed, all of them, and that's where they would sit and wait for me when I get home from school. And I was really big into magic, like creating a magical world. Like I was really big into imagination, so I was always playing with my stuffed animals or my dolls, I always had one with me, so it didn't matter which one it was. I always had them. And then I used them all for tea parties or like putting them in my little baby stroller or sleeping. I would get all of them and sleep with them all at night, and they never fit all in the bed. They were all in the morning. Some would always fall off the bed, and I always felt bad.
That's interesting. So you felt bad if so you thought your dolls had feelings.
Yes. So quick story. When I was probably like, I played with dolls or like stuffed animals and dolls until I was probably like 8 or 9. No, yeah, about 10. And when I was like, I must have been 6 or 7. My mom had made me some dolls for a doll house that she and my dad had made me for Christmas. And I took one of the little dolls to school. It was a little girl doll, like tiny, maybe like the size of your hand, dollhouse size. And it had little red braids for the hair. And it had a little tiny outfit on, and it was like, I loved it so much. And this girl, and I don't remember who it was. All I remember is I was in the library and she took it from me, and I about had a fit. Like I was about to like hurt someone if she didn't give me my doll back. And I was so angry and so sad that she grabbed the doll and didn't like handle it delicately and then wouldn't give it back to me.
So how'd you get it back?
So she finally gave it back to me, but I remember like thinking to myself, I'm never bringing my stuff to school again. People are mean. So yes, I was very attached to my stuffed animals and my dolls. And I was happy for other people to play with them. They just had to be nice.
So there were rules of engagement to play with your dolls. Got it.
It was like, don't tear the hair out. Don't rip up the clothes. Don't bother, like, crap it up. Basic, like, politeness, courtesy. Don't crap
I just
on my
remember,
stuff.
and disclaimer, I had a younger sister, so that's why I have a tendency to know about certain dolls. But the yarn, they used to use the yarn for the hair in a lot of the older dolls.
Cabbage
What
Patch,
was that
Rainbow
doll?
Brite.
Maybe it was Rainbow Brite with the red braids that came down. Was it the red braids?
No, Rainbow Brite had a ponytail.
Who was the one with the 2 red braids?
That I don't know.
Wasn't
there
Pippi
was a Cabbage Patch, and then there was
maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was
that's
the Cabbage
what I was
Patch.
thinking of. But there was a redhead with braids for Cabbage Patch.
We have to talk about some of the toys that would never be produced today as well. So, like
You
Stretch
have a list,
Armstrong.
I'm sure. I
Stretch
don't remember
Armstrong,
that one.
like filled with toxic waste, and used to like pull them apart, like stretch them. And he had, I don't know what was inside of that thing, but it was like this weird kind of corn syrupy goo. And you always tried to break it. You actually set out that was the goal, was to break it. And it was not easy to break. And I remember
that's weird.
We filled it up with water once.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
And tried to pop it, but man, whatever was inside of that could not have been like safe for children.
Probably not.
I don't know if you probably don't remember these, but like even toys like Transformers, which we talked about, were die cast metal, right? Like probably not the safest,
rusty
for kids. Lawn darts. Do you remember lawn darts? They were
Was that Nerf brand?
No. Nothing Nerf about these. So they were about this big. I would say they're about a foot and a half. And they looked like a big dart. And on the tip was this big metal spike. And you would throw them. And you would basically have to get them in a circle. Like you would throw them towards some. So think of it as like cornhole. You had to get the dart in the circle, but it didn't drop in anywhere. These things, you could kill somebody. I'll never forget, my brother and I were playing lawn darts at my stepmom's house. My stepmom had 2 boys that were older. Like my stepbrothers were a little bit older than us, and my stepsister was a lot older. So my stepbrothers were kind of hanging out, just watching us because we were young. And my brother took that lawn dart and threw it, and it went right through the driver's side window of somebody's car.
Oh, no.
Shattered it. just completely shattered it. And this was like one of the first toys I ever heard about being banned. Like they actually banned this from being sold. They were just, what a stupid idea. But I feel like toys back then just had a level of danger to them. I mean, my parents were not huge on any sort of guns or like weapon toys. My mom was kind of like a hippie type person, so she didn't really like anything violent. But when I got my hands on like a BB gun or an airsoft rifle, oh my gosh, bro, I was like freaking cowboying it up. Just shooting everything I could find. I even shot one of my friends behind the ear. So that was
lovely.
Anything that was dangerous, I feel like we had access to as children. So did you have any dangerous toys that you remember that were like, you couldn't see, you wouldn't let your kids play with them today?
Honestly, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Most of the things that I played with were electronic. You know, it was dolls or it was some kind of thing that you could turn on. Like I was really fascinated with toys that you could like that had special features of like you had to turn it on or wind it up or push a button. I was really into like the mechanics. So no, not really. I mean, the bow and arrow is probably the worst thing, but it didn't really do any damage, you know, compared to
talk
like,
to me about the SkipIt. You brought up the SkipIt the other day.
Oh, yeah. That was one of my favorite birthday gifts I ever got for my birthday. I think I was probably 6 or 7 around that age. And I had home birthday parties were huge back in the day. I mean, they probably still are now, but everybody had a home birthday party or it was at the skating rink. So I had a home birthday party. A friend of mine brought a SkipIt. And that was one of the, you know, it's so crazy. And I'm sure other people might feel like this. You have a memory and you can feel the memory. I feel the heat in the summer off of our driveway, our like gravel driveway, and doing the SkipIt in the driveway and the sound it made, the plastic you skip, like you put it on your ankle. It's a little ring. You put it on your ankle and there's a little plastic extension, and at the end of the extension is a counter. Like it's a ball that has a counter on it, and it counts how many skips you skip. So you have to swing it around. It's like jump roping with yourself. And mine was pink, and I absolutely loved that thing. I also was really big into pogo sticks, so I love doing a pogo stick.
What was the fascination with pogo sticks?
It didn't last long.
Yeah, because they were frustrating. But I had the one where it was the ball and it had like, it almost looked like Saturn.
Yeah.
So there was a ball in the middle and then it had like a ring around it that you stood on and you could hop around.
Oh, okay. We had those at
called?
school. I don't remember.
Pogo ball. That was called a pogo ball. Go figure.
Oh, yeah. I got a pogo stick, I think, as a birthday gift one year. And I remember doing that in the driveway as well. And I was actually really good at the pogo stick, but I lost interest pretty fast. I think after that year, I was like, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I don't know what
I got in trouble
on
I had to get rid of mine because like our driveway was kind of needed to be redone and we kept like jumping and the pogo stick would leave like indents in the driveway. So my mom didn't like that.
Yeah.
Especially on a hot summer day, it would just kind of sink in there.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Do you remember clackers? There were these two like acrylic plastic hard balls and it was on a string and you would hold it between your fingers and you would smack them up and down. Like literally you could probably break every bone in your hand if it hit you.
I wonder if that was the precursor to the handheld one. Do you remember the handheld?
It might be.
Clacker?
Remember with the handle? Yeah. Or are you talking about
this one you swung around and the two balls would hit each other. Like I can literally see it in my head.
I remember where you would go up and down with it and it would like swing up and down like this and go whack, 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 whack.
Okay.
So those toys were like, again, these toys are just the level of danger we occurred.
How about the really cheap things that entertained you? Did you ever get those little tiny, I don't know what they're called. They're like little aquariums, like games, and it would be water and you'd have to push the buttons to get the water to shoot the rings up over where it's supposed to go.
Yeah, or the maze.
That was such a huge thing as like a party favor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or the maze. Yeah. Yep.
Those were good. And then What else did I have on my list here? You know, you had the Etch A Sketch, and you would watch the commercial for Etch A Sketch, and they'd make like
Yes.
these. You could never produce this kind of
No.
imagery, so that was
I was
always
always bored with
frustrating.
that.
Yeah, after
Especially
like 5 minutes,
Yes.
it was no longer fun. It was just no longer
You just
fun. And
couldn't
what
do a
about
whole lot with it.
so correct. And speaking of kind of things you turn on, I won't say it because it makes you mad. Light Bright.
Okay.
No, I was going to say something else, but anyway, keep it moving. Light Bright.
Gotcha. Light Bright, yes. Yes, I loved it. You know, it's so crazy thinking back now. Most of the toys that I played with, I always learned about them from classmates and TV shows. I don't know why. I always figured out like people would give me gifts for birthday parties, and that's how I'd learn about a toy. So Light Bright was one of those things where I saw it on TV. I remember seeing the ad and I was like, oh, that's so cool. I want that. And I think the moment I got it, I was like, that's kind of boring. Like you basically put the things in and you light it up and then what? You're done.
God, I loved it. I could never get enough.
Did you like change things out a lot? Like
so
the little
the Light Bright that I had probably was, you know, predates your Light Bright. You had the black construction paper that you would put on it, and it would have the design, some of them, and you could. So yeah, I don't know. I was fascinated with putting those pegs in there and having it turn into something. So that didn't bore me. That and Spirograph. Do you remember Spirograph?
I love the Spirograph.
Oh my gosh. With the pen, and then you could do all those different designs. I think
was that the vibrating pen, or was
I don't know what you're talking about, but no.
That was different. Okay.
Yeah, Spirograph was these plastic cogs.
Yes.
You would like put them inside and it would make different patterns. You would put the pen in different parts of it, and you would kind of draw in a pattern. I think it's what's created kind of this fascination for me with patterns. Like I love patterns, like the way people think in a pattern, the way you draw in a pattern, the way you drive in a pattern.
Is that why you got that table with the pattern making in the sand downstairs?
Yeah, I love that table.
Describe what the table is. It's like an adult toy.
I don't know if it's a toy, but it's like a coffee table, and it's round, and basically it's got a magnet in it and a ball, and it's filled with sand, and you can program it to make designs in the sand. My dad had this, like, it wasn't a Zen garden, but it was something with sand on his desk. I've always been fascinated with that. Even a Zen garden, just the way you can perfectly make the lines. I don't know if those were big too. Like the Zen gardens at one point, everyone had a Zen garden on their desk with the little rake, and you just kind of.
I really didn't like that.
That or the metal ball clacker thing where it had like the 5 and you would do.
Yep.
So that was always.
All that stuff was at the Natural Wonders store I used to go to in the mall when I was a teenager.
Well, what about Simon? Did you ever play with Simon? The 4-color Simon Says?
I did not. I got to a certain age. I think I was like 12, 10. I must have been 10. And I pretty much didn't play with toys much anymore after that.
Yeah, but this would have been.
I know it's technically a game, but I never played a lot of games. We played Clue, we played Monopoly, we played Chutes and Ladders. If that, I did a lot of Chinese checkers and marbles.
You didn't play Mastermind or Battleship?
No, I didn't. So remember, my sister is 8 years older than me, so I didn't really have anybody to play with after she went to college. And I didn't really have a lot. I had neighborhood kids when I was younger, a lot of them that I would play with, but as I got older, I didn't have anybody to play with.
What about Connect 4? Never played Connect 4?
That we played a lot of at school growing up.
Do you remember the commercial?
I like that one. Yes.
Pretty so sneaky, crazy. Sis.
I can see it in my head. I do. Yeah. It's funny, all the ads you remember.
Pretty sneaky, sis. Man. How about, do you remember those octopus? It was like these little octopus or octopi, whatever, and you would throw it against the wall and it would crawl down.
Those were some of my favorite. Absolutely love those little like slime creatures,
and they would always just
come in
become
party
a dirt sponge. Yeah, and it would be a dirt sponge.
They would, especially if you did it outside. I remember it would get like rocks and dirt all over it.
Yeah, game over outside. But that brings up another kind of interesting topic that we can take a little detour off the toys, but it's still toy related. Was cereal toys. The stuff you got in the cereal box that probably is not allowed today because it's all a choking hazard. So these little, like you would literally, I used to get in trouble. I think that's why my mom stopped buying cereal with toys in them. Because literally, if there was a toy in that box, you were digging.
Eating the cereal.
You were not, or you dumped the cereal out just to get the toy.
That's right. Always.
So, and then you had like, you could up the challenge, up the skill level if you had to collect the UPC codes and mail them in.
Yeah,
to get a prize.
That was hard though, because you want that instant.
Talk
about instant gratification for kids now versus then. The instant gratification was buying the cereal box, getting home, and digging your little grubby hand down into the bottom of the cereal box. And sometimes they would put it in the cereal, and then sometimes they would shove it down underneath the bag. It depended on what it was.
Well, I'm talking about cutting out the UPC codes and having to mail them in. So you had to get like a certain amount of UPC codes. So you want to talk about not having instant gratification. I mean, you had to work. You had to eat a lot of cereal. And you were always bugging your friends, be like, yo, save, if you going for that? And if not, save that UPC code, hook me up.
Yeah, I'd always have to be like, Mom, can you buy more cereal? Can you buy more cereal? I remember the only thing that we ever did a mail-in for, I'm sure I did it for other stuff, but I can't remember what they were. The one thing that I do remember mailing in the UPC things for, labels for, and the little, like, I think it was like $2.99 or whatever it was. For shipping. My dad absolutely loves orange juice and anything having to do with like oranges. Sorry. Well, they had a Tropicana watch and a Tropicana radio. And the radio was in the shape of an orange that had a straw sticking out of it as the antenna. I still have that thing and it still works.
Wow.
Like 30 plus years later. He was like, I want to get the Tropicana watch. It had a black band. It almost looked like a Swatch watch. Had a black band, and on the inside it had Florida's orange, like an orange in it. And then the little hands on the clock were straws, green and white. And I remember getting that, and that was the coolest thing. And the little radio in the shape of a big orange was so cool. Did you ever, do you remember anything you ordered?
I don't remember anything out of the cereal boxes. I think for me, it was the magazine drives that I was always like, I got to sell a bunch of magazines because I want that stupid like frog phone or,
gotcha.
One of those things. That was the big thing. What was it? I don't think it was Publisher Clearinghouse. Reader's Digest. Maybe that's what it was. Like magazine drive. I just remember the magazine drive every year. And I remember you just walk around the neighborhood knocking on random doors, asking people if they wanted to buy magazines.
That's so funny.
We're like 12 years old, right? So,
yeah,
man, what a time to be alive. But so going back to toys or continuing with toys, do you remember some of the weirder toys, like really kind of creepy toys? Anything
like
jump
what?
out? Like Furbies. Furbies were weird.
I never liked Furbies. I didn't like Trolls. I remember when Trolls came out, and I know some people will bash me for it. I thought they were the weirdest looking things. I don't even remember how old I was. I was young, and I was like, these things are creepy, and they've got weird. A lot of kids are like, oh, the hair is so cool. I just thought they were weird. They were like ugly little creatures.
Yeah.
I feel so mean saying that.
Furbies were just weird because they would just randomly start talking and making weird noises, and it was just a creepy thing. And they were hard to get. I remember trying to get one. It was super hard to get.
I was gonna like. Oh yeah, I remember those. They were very popular.
Yeah. I remember the noise too, and its little beak and its eyes. How about the worm on a string? Do you remember that? It was like this fuzzy worm, and you would kind of dangle it. It would be like a magic trick.
No. No. I actually don't. That looks weird. That looks kind of gross.
If you could figure out how to make it, you couldn't see the string, so it looked like it was like kind of floating in the air. So it had a magic quality to it. How about Boglins or Boglins?
I remember the name, but I don't remember those very well.
They were like the rubber monster heads in the cage. I never played with those, but it kind of lived under your bed mentally.
Oh, reverse. I forgot one thing. Two things, actually. So Tony the Tiger, Frosted Flakes, they had
They're
the cereal box. They had a toy in there. And I was telling you this, I think the other day. It was a Tony the Tiger, a tiny one that you would put into a 2-liter bottle of water, like a Pepsi or Coke bottle. And it would shoot, like it would go down and then it would shoot right back up. That was like a huge thing. And then Cracker Jacks. You remember Cracker Jacks? Did you ever find the toys? Yeah, there was always a prize in there. I hated Cracker Jacks, but I wanted the prize, so we always bought it. I didn't like caramel.
Yeah, I didn't like Cracker Jacks when I was a kid because of the peanuts. But I like Cracker Jacks now. But there was, what was it called? Fiddle Faddle? My mom always used to eat this called Fiddle Faddle, and I did like that.
All right, continue with your creepy toys.
So Mad Balls. Do you remember Mad Balls? The eyeballs, brain monsters as like inside the ball?
No.
Those were creepy. I'm trying to think what else I had. Do you remember this thing called Mr. Bucket? It was a bucket and it would run around. It would like move around and spit balls out everywhere.
I don't remember that one. These are kind of like obscure, or at least obscure to me.
I don't think that's super obscure, but it was weird.
I do remember that. I never, I didn't play with that. That was 1991. Were you playing with that?
No, but I remember seeing the commercials for it. So, and like, I feel like what was it called? Gack? Do you remember that? Did Travis, where you would squeeze it and it would make fart noises? Yes. It was like the stretchy, slimy stuff that always was making fart noises.
Yep.
I feel like toy manufacturers, and they probably still do this today, they literally made toys, and the use case was if it pissed the parent off, it was a winner.
Yeah.
Like if it bothered the adults in the room, it was like Bop It, right? Like Bop It was super annoying.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it was.
Bop It. Hit it.
Did you do puzzles a lot?
Slide it. No. My mom loved puzzles. My mom always was doing puzzles. She just, I don't know what it was, but she loved puzzles. I didn't love doing puzzles.
In kindergarten, we used to have the wooden puzzles, and they would come on, you could stack them in trays. So you could pull them out and they would be wood pieces. They weren't like super complex, but I actually really enjoyed doing those. But as I got older, I didn't like puzzles so much. I'm not good at mysteries. like
puzzles or mysteries?
Yeah, anything like that. I mean, I can do a puzzle, but anything harder than that.
How's a puzzle like a mystery? That's wild. I never thought I don't even know how that correlates, but
you got to figure out, it's like reasoning, kind of like when you go to the escape room. You got to collect the clues. This piece looks like it goes with this piece. That's how I see it.
Hey,
be quiet.
You're the boss.
Don't question me.
I will never question you again, ever. Now I lost my train of thought. I was going to ask you something. Did you have toys? Okay, we're moving on from puzzle. The mystery solution of puzzles equating to being mysterious or solving a mystery. Bum bum. Did you have toys that you didn't have and your friends did, and you would always want to go over and play with their toys, and they would let you, but they were kind of like, yeah, you get limited access?
No, they never limited access. I never had the cool toys. Never. My friends always had better toys than me. My one friend, who, if she listens, she'll know I'm talking about her, had the Nintendo game that was the sand volleyball, and then there was another one that we liked to play. It was like it was Paperboy. And then I had another friend. I went to a birthday party at her house. She had all Barbie stuff, and I'll never forget, she had a wind-up Barbie telephone, like a tiny, tiny one that you put in a little Barbie house, and it was like vintage looking. And I was fascinated with wind-up toys. I still love wind-up toys. I like how it works. So yeah, everybody always had better toys than me. I did have some things that other kids didn't, but I was very territorial, surprisingly. I didn't like to share, because my mom made a lot of my toys. So she made these big bears for me that I would play like Tea Party with, and my dad made my dollhouse, and so I felt very emotionally attached to those. Like, I'll give you an example. My mom cut her finger one time in the kitchen, just like a paring knife. It was a tiny little cut, and I bawled my eyes out when I was like 5 because I thought my mom hurt herself really bad. So I was very like, if someone gave me something, I took really good care of it, or if like it had meaning, it touched me deeply as a child. That's why I was so sensitive.
No,
I'm not sensitive anymore.
I know.
I'm kidding.
Hardened.
Life does that.
So it's weird. I didn't have like a lot of action figures growing up. I don't know why. The one thing I loved, there were those little green army men with the parachute, and you would throw them up in the air.
Yes.
I
had
loved that. I would throw them out the window. I'd throw those things everywhere. I was just fascinated by the parachute.
Me too.
That was probably the only thing I was able to like smuggle in the house. But one of my oldest friends, and if he ever listens, he'll probably know who I'm talking about. He had like all the cool action figures, and he had some of the coolest Star Wars stuff. And I would love going over to his house because I didn't have any Star Wars stuff. He had all this cool Star Wars stuff. He had the X-Wing fighter. He had I can't think of it right now. The thing that would hover over the sand.
Yeah.
It may come back.
Hovercraft?
No, it wasn't a hovercraft.
I know.
But it was, he had that, and he had G.I. Joes, which I always wanted to play, G.I. Joe. So yes, like He-Man, tons of He-Man action figures. So definitely I would go over there and get my fill of the things I didn't have. I don't know why. I don't know why my mom just I didn't have a lot of, I had weird toys, but not a lot of anything that was violent. Wasn't allowed to have like violent things in the house.
Or maybe she just didn't think to buy it, no. Any particular reason.
It was the only thing. I was begging for that stuff. Kidding me?
Maybe, okay. Well, then she just didn't like it. I remember being 3 years old at the very first house I can remember. And we had gone somewhere after school, my mom, my sister, and I, and wherever we went, she bought me those parachute guys. And I went upstairs to the second floor window, and I was now talk about dangerous, right? Like you're promoting kids to like take these things up to high heights. The higher you go, the better, because the parachute's awesome, right? And oh my goodness, I love that. And I loved kites. And
me too.
Kites were huge for me. The Frisbee, like aerobies, that was later. Huge, really into that. I did not have a lot of action figures myself. The only I wouldn't call them action figures. I kept every toy from McDonald's Happy Meals. Like I still have the box today, a box of all the Happy Meal toys. Like those I will never part with them. I used to love playing with those things. And then Kroger used to sell in the toy aisle. They used to have they were very trendy. Like they would sell a lot of like cool toys. So New Kids on the Block were huge back in the day. I was really young, and they sold all the New Kids on the Block Barbie doll, the guys, like little figures. And I collected all of them. They were like $9.99. Still have like the little orange typed sticker on it, on the box. But yeah, those are really the only action type figurines that I ever had.
New Kids on the Block. Oh my gosh.
I know, they're funny. And I love the guy.
My sister was big into New Kids on the Block.
Oh, she would have liked the little dolls.
I think she had a doll. And I would pair
them with my Barbies.
I don't think she was a little bit older at that point.
Okay.
Like, who was the one that fell off the stage? Oh, yeah, tons of posters. Fell off the stage and like broke their arm. She wore black, like nothing but black. She was mourning
Are you serious? That's funny.
Oh my gosh. Heather will definitely not be happy that I said that on the podcast, but it was
That's
funny.
hilarious.
Like, she was
funny.
And I used to just make fun of is not strong enough of a statement, but wow, I had a field day with her and that New Kids stuff. She was absolutely awestruck, and yeah. But any case, so what about some of the more electronic toys? Did you have a Tamagotchi?
I did not. One of my most favorite electronic toys, Teddy Ruxpin and Grubby. When I got those two separately. I got Teddy Ruxpin first. And again, remember, I was really into stuffed animals and like imagine them coming to life. So Teddy Ruxpin, getting a Teddy Ruxpin with the tape, the cassette tape, and it would read the story to you. I mean, I couldn't have been happier. And then getting his sidekick Grubby, most amazing gifts ever, just magical. I had so much fun with those. And then I got a little play set later that was the balloon that they would get in, and you would inflate the balloon. And you had the figurines and that would get on the ship. It was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I didn't play with Teddy Ruxpin. Was if I was playing with Teddy Ruxpin, it would have been weird. But I remember the commercials. I remember the commercials. I mean, I remember it being a very cool kind of new thing, like that automated, I don't know, automatic, robotic,
very Disney-like.
Yeah, and like you said, having a stuffed animal come to life was, that was magical.
It was,
especially
it
back
really
then.
was.
So that was super cool. And even if you go way back, do you remember like Speak and Spell?
Yes, I do.
Or Spell and Speak? No, Speak and Spell.
Speak and Spell.
And I'll never forget the voice.
Oh yeah,
C-A-T cat.
Right.
So,
but it's really crazy to think about those types of toys compared to now, and everything is just so advanced now. And back in the day, it was like if you got it to talk at all, that was a big win. No matter what the voice sounded like. And now everything's like, choose your voice: the Englishman, the Japanese woman, the British boy,
So why does the world feel dumber? I feel like maybe we should go back, because those were harder to use. I mean, you had to it was not
really
very
work
intuitive.
To get them to, It was cool. It was really cool. And I had this. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You had this.
No, you go. I had a phone, and you could dial Mickey and Minnie and Goofy.
I remember those.
And Donald Duck, and you could talk to them. And I wished with all my might that it was real. I just had such a fascination with things like that.
Those were fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those. Although it got boring after a while, because it was like the same loop. You didn't really have a lot more to talk about or listen to. But it was still cool. It was definitely still cool.
Memorable. Because you didn't really have a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah. Did you have this? I was fascinated with this too. Magic sand, where you would get like a bowl fill it with water, and you would pour the sand in there, and it would kind of stack on itself, and it came in different colors.
That reminds me of those. My sister really loved these. They were those little tiny sponge figurines that you would throw in the water, and they would grow.
Oh, yeah.
And one was like grow a boyfriend. That was the one my sister had. And it was like a guy in boxers, and on the boxers, they had like hearts on them. It was just like,
it's awfully risky.
No, it was funny. There was a time period, I guess it was like through the 90s, where you could go to the store and buy these like greeting cards that had hunks all over them. They still have them today, but I feel like that was super prominent back in the 90s, is that you would have all these like I don't know, toys or like gift items or greeting cards that had hunks all over them. I really do think it was like
a hunk or
like
a hunk?
hot guy. Hunk. I'm trying to articulate a hunk.
All right, Miss Tennessee.
Hey, he's a hunk. Hubba hubba. So yeah, and I would always get my sister, I know I'm digressing, but I would always get her greeting cards that had like hot guys on it. And it'd be like, happy birthday from the firemen, and it'd be like 4 firemen on the front cover, and they'd be shirtless and have on like their fire marshal outfits.
Did you ever have a Talk Boy?
No, what is that?
That was like a portable cassette recorder. That was fun. Kosh ball. Do you remember the Kosh balls?
Oh gosh, no.
Or Kosh.
Oh
Koosh
yes,
balls.
I do. I didn't have a Talk Boy. I do remember that though.
The Kosh balls were like insane. Everybody had those freaking things.
Hacky sacks,
and everyone's
too.
throwing out. Yeah, hacky sacks were a big deal. Moon shoes. Do you remember the moon shoes?
Oh yeah, I had some. My mom got them at a yard sale for me.
That's cool.
They were hilarious.
Hacky sack was fun. I don't know if you ever played.
I did. I wasn't very good.
We used to play in college. I wasn't very good either.
That's when I knew I wasn't good at soccer.
Yeah, me either.
Because you had to use your feet, some people were really, really good. I was never. Yeah. I was good at juggling. I could juggle. I could still juggle.
Not anymore. No, you can't. I've seen you try.
What?
So I wouldn't consider that. I would consider that dropping, not juggling. How about the Easy Bake Oven? You had
that
to
was
have had
a big
an Easy
thing.
Bake Oven.
Yep. And I loved like fake kitchen food. Like a little kitchen. I was really into that.
I used to have a kitchen set, and it's probably partly contributed to my love of cooking. I'll never forget. I had this kitchen set. It was like this little kitchenette, and it had a frying pan. You could put the frying pan on the burner, and you could put the bacon in the pan, and it would sizzle. It would make the sizzle noise.
Yes, I did have something like that.
Oh my God. I could play with that for hours.
Yeah, that was good. Again, I like things that worked or that made noises. So that was really cool.
I'd be curious, are the Easy Bake Ovens the same today? Do they still use like a high wattage light bulb? I always thought it was interesting. You're putting this high wattage light bulb in this plastic box with all these plastic things, and that food can't be good for you.
They've had that forever. It's still pretty much the same. Like when Becca was little, I got our one and she loved it. Oh, I was going to say one thing that I forgot to mention, and I know almost everybody knows this. Lisa Frank was huge back in the day. She did all like these crazy colored like puppies and cats, kitty cats, baby animals, and shiny, iridescent, everything was sparkle. Like that's the world I want to live in. I still love all her stuff.
Squirmies, that's what they were called. Sorry, the worm on a string was called Squirmies.
Okay, I still don't. Do you remember Pogs?
Yes, but it wasn't a little late for me in the game with Pogs, but I remember them.
I remember them. I never participated, but I never got it, like what the point was, but a lot of people love those.
Wasn't that what, like, you traded them?
Yeah, you did. You did. You traded them.
I mean, I grew up going back to like the late 70s, early 80s. My dad got my brother and I like all the Phillies, the entire baseball set for every Phillies team for like 7 years. It was awesome. And cool. I used to love doing this. And I was talking about this on another podcast. We used to flip baseball cards. And, I forget why we would do it, but we would flip, and that was a way to get someone else's card or lose one of yours.
Yeah.
And you used to go into like 7-Eleven and pick up a pack of cards. And, of course, you would devour the gum. The gum was the most important thing in a baseball card. And then you would thumb through the cards, and half the time, collecting was different. You didn't really think about it as a collectible. So I wish I still would have had those baseball cards, because some of them were actually black and white, probably worth something, but they all burned in my house fire.
Did you play with the big wheel?
My favorite toy ever. Still to this day, the big wheel.
Be one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I used to wear the tires out all the time, and I'd get so upset. I would be so upset, so sad. Because it's game over after that.
Yeah. There was no traction.
You'd have a hole in the tire. Like I'm
that's
talking.
Right. Yeah. That's
where
true.
through, especially when you use the spin out handle. Like you remember, you used to be able to pull the handle up, and would lock that back wheel, and it would spin you around. Big wheels. I think we talked about this on an earlier episode, but
we did.
Big wheels, sit and spin. The sit and spin. Like talk about a terrible toy that would just cause you to vomit. But you had fun. I remember that big rubber ball with like the handle in the center, and you used to sit on it and bounce around. My brother used to like to basically.
What was the name of that thing? That was, man, I love that. We used to get those out during gym class when I was little.
Let's see what the interwebs. Hoppity hop.
Okay. I think I remember it being called that. That's true.
Hoppity hop. Yep, that's exactly what it was.
I'm sure you didn't play with My Little Ponies, but those were huge.
No.
And Strawberry Shortcake.
I feel like My Little Pony takes on a whole different meaning now with like the bronies, the brony conventions, and people dressing up as My Little Pony. Shout out to anybody that, does that. No shade. I feel like My Little Pony it might be a little tainted now, because that's the image I get. But very interesting to see what has spawned from our generation as far as conventions and such. But no, I didn't play with My Little Pony. I didn't play. I will say, I have to admit a secret.
Okay.
I did go in and smell my sister's strawberry shortcake dolls.
Did you?
I did.
That's hilarious.
I did.
You couldn't resist. It did smell amazing.
That plastic strawberry smell is a forever memory. You'll never forget that smell.
Honestly, I don't know how they got it to smell that good for that long, because I remember getting a strawberry shortcake like 30 years later, like maybe 10 years ago, and it still smelled like strawberries. I'm like, what in the world did they use on this thing for it to smell this good for like centuries? It is wild, right? Like, how do they get the strawberry shortcake?
Because you'll even go into like a thrift store and find like a box of toys, and it would be in there, and you're always inclined to smell it, and it's like it still smells the same. It has not changed, and even it's like super old, it still has a faint smell of it.
The iconic strawberry shortcake smell, often associated with strawberry shortcake, is created using synthetic fragrance chemicals embedded and baked directly into plastic during manufacture. I mean, that's brilliant. I mean, we knew that, but still, I mean, it's insane that they were able to get that recipe for that scent just perfectly. It's wild.
How about Care Bears? You were probably
Loved
a Care Bear fan.
Big Care Bear fan. Yeah. I love that it had the little heart on their rear ends.
Yeah, see, I wasn't a Care Bear. I also absolutely attested the cartoon. So
I never watched the cartoon. I watched I love the toys, but I never watched the cartoon.
Yeah. So what about like, did you ever play with like anything Nerf or like the Super Soakers?
I did. I really, really loved water guns as a kid. Anytime. So we didn't have a pool growing up, but my neighbors had pools, and I would go over there and they would have all the toys, the rafts, the squirt guns, the water balloons, loved water balloons, the dive sticks for the pool, anything related to the pool, couldn't get enough of because we never had it. So I loved it.
So one of the favorite outdoor kind of events is when either you or your friend pulled out the slip and slide. Do you remember the slip and slides?
Oh, yeah. My neighbor had one.
It was never
so
long
good.
enough.
Nope.
And you would always reach the end and get like some sort of grass burn.
Yep.
Right.
Rash.
But you were running back up, and literally you were diving full speed on this plastic like tarp that just has running water on it, and you could level up if you put like soap on there, and then it would be...
Yes, I remember being a kid always thinking and maybe this is why I'm in UX today, but as a kid, and I don't know if a lot of kids are like this, I was always thinking of ways to make it better, to make the experience, to make the slip and slide longer. We would use trash bags, which was terrible because it never worked unless you secured them. And then we were like, well, maybe we get a roll of plastic. Maybe we could squirt Joy, the dish.
Oh, gosh. Do they still make Joy?
They do. Yep. My mom used to buy Joy all the time.
So
and we
did
would
my
squirt
mom.
it all over the slip and slide. I mean, I couldn't get enough of that stuff. It was just so
That's crazy.
amazing.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Well, this was
fun.
This was a good kind of rundown toy lane. So I'm curious if anyone else has any cool toys that they remember that we may have not had. There's tons more we could talk about.
And it could be from any era, like, not just from ours. Like there were toys that I found I think I talked about this in the last episode. I would go to my grandmother's house in Nashville, like right outside of Nashville, and she'd always have all these really old toys in this chest of drawers in one of the extra rooms. And I found a couple of my mom's toys. Do you remember the little wooden handle that had the wooden cup on top and the string with the ball?
The string.
Yeah. So like there were tons of toys that I would find, from like my mom's generation or my grandmother's generation. So I would love to hear everybody's.
Yeah, that you just sparked a quick memory. So my dad loved the paddle board with the pink ball and the string.
Yes, I love that too.
He taught me how to do that because there's actually a way to do it. And yo-yo, oh my gosh,
I love the yo-yo.
For years, my dad, I used to be able to walk the dog and do the triangle and do the pendulum and a bunch of cool stuff with yo-yos. Loved playing with yo-yos. So
I did too. That was really fun. Easy toys.
So yeah, the creativity that you could do with some of this stuff was just like, usually you don't think about a yo-yo as other than just kind of doing the up and down, but there's a whole like bunch of tricks you can do with yo-yos.
Right.
it was cool learning and teaching yourself some of those things. So
It was entertaining, because you gave us, like, we would get a toy like that as a gift, and you would spend your time trying to perfect it.
Yeah, master it, right? So there's still that desire today in adults.
Yeah,
but in any case, this was a good episode. So thanks for taking a trip down toy memory lane with us. And as Kathryn alluded to, let us know what your favorite toy was from any generation. Pop in the comments. We've been getting some great engagement over on our Reddit feed. So shout out to the Gen X Reddit feed. You're all awesome with all the engagement. Our frozen pizza, our Stouffer's frozen pizza is still going viral. So shout out to Stouffer's for helping us go viral. But in any case, so yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, follow. It really does help the channel. And we appreciate all the engagement that's been going on. And we know that the holiday's tomorrow. So happy Easter and happy Passover to all that are celebrating. And I guess that's another episode of The Well in the books. So
thanks for joining
I'm Drew.
us.
Yeah,
and I'm
Drew. And who knows what we come up with next. But we'll see you for the next episode.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.